And again, welcome to the Hard Hittin Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Obi Moniz. My special guest is no other than at SCW Steve. That's right, the SCW Wrestling channel, which he has on YouTube and on Twitter, which I follow him very closely. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, it's really good to be on the show. Thank you for having me on. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, but I really appreciate it, guys. You change your time schedule for us to make the show happen for us today, and I really appreciate that. It's really good to be a part of the Hard Hittin Wrestling Show.
All right, thank you so much. I'm a big fan of yours. Your show is extremely awesome and detailed to what's going on in the wrestling community, not only in WWE but other platforms of the wrestling industry. Let our viewers know, who is Steve?
Well, thank you for saying that, by the way, saying you're a fan of the channel and stuff. Well, I've been a fan for many years. I've been following wrestling since the early 90s. Hopefully it doesn't give my age away too much, but, one of the old dogs when it comes to wrestling fans. But I followed from WrestleMania 8. So that was my first show that I watched, and I was just a young kid. And I was told all about wrestling before I even started. So that kind of told me that I knew it was more like sports entertainment, and it was more the writing stuff that got me involved. I've always been invested in the storylines. I love fantasy booking, and that's the stuff that kind of gripped me throughout the years. And I've stuck around, with those hard years in the new generation, when probably like Bastion Booger, if you remember those sort of dark days. We moved on to the Attitude Era. We had Ruthless Aggression. We've gone PG of late, but there's still some really good stuff out there. And like you say, there's other promotions as well. There's something for everybody's flavor, depending on what they're looking for. And I like that there's something different out there for everyone. You can compare everything in wrestling, and you can take it from memories and things that you liked, and you can see if you can put it together to put something bright for the future.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, that's what also motivated me to start this podcast. So you and I, we think very alike, man. That's pretty awesome. Who is your favorite wrestler of all time, and the male's perspective?
Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, there's been so many greats. I mean, weirdly, when I started, and this is not something that, you look back and go, cool, what a legend. But my first favorite was actually Tatanka back in WrestleMania 8. I don't know, something about, like, he was undefeated. He didn't lose for like a year and a half. But I was a big fan of Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. They were the ones that kind of paved the way at the start. As we moved through maybe to like different eras and stuff, other people taking over. But I would say, if you look for my sort of favorites, it's kind of like a joint sort of period. Shawn Michaels has always been someone that stood out for me because he's had the ability to do both the great in-ring action and sports entertainment side. He's great at emotion. He's great at telling a story. So he's one that stands out. RVD, Rob Van Dam, is another one that really stands out for me, just purely because he was so unique and ahead of his time. I was a big ECW fan back in the late 90s. I saw it through them being on Raw originally, and then would just catch ECW on those odd clips where I could, because in the UK we couldn't get it. So when we got to see odd clips, RVD was someone I was always like hyped to see. And then when he became in WWE, I popped big star when he was WWE champion. So it would probably be a tie with HBK and RVD. Them two were real standouts for me.
Outstanding. We went from there. What about tag teams?
Tag teams, well, I mean, again, it's all about that special art, isn't it? We're seeing teams throughout the years, and one team that's always stood out for me, again, from ECW mainly, when you look back at the network and some of the stuff they used to get away with their shows, they used to be some of the baddest heels going, but they helped revolutionize the tag team wrestling in WWE, is the Dudley Boys. I loved Bubba Ray and Devon. I love what they put together. They brought the tables. They brought attitudes. They didn't care. And both of them on the mic, they just had something unique and different to offer together. And when you put them, it was poetry in motion. It really was. It was absolute perfection as a team. And it's shown every promotion, without doubt, they've had, tag team gold.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot now, Steve.
Go for it.
You mentioned the Dudley Boys, but I'm a big fan of the Road Warriors, or the WWE, the Legion of Doom. Yeah. So if them two were to go at it, who you think will finish on top?
I think that depends on the era that they're in. Of course, you can take the dream team combination, but I mean, if it's in the mid '80s, there's no doubt the Road Warriors come out on top. But if you look in sort of that time as towards the Attitude Era, you know, it wasn't going so well. And of course, the Dark Side of the Ring was on very recently with obviously with the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, and it's a fascinating watch to see, and obviously very tragic of what happened with the Lifestyle Hawk. But I think from a nostalgic point of view, I think a lot of people would go with your side. They'd go with the Road Warriors. But hey, I'm biased. I'm going with the Dudleys.
All right. Hey, there's no wrong answer there. But hey, that will be our next season of the HSW show. We had just completed the 64 Legends and Superstars our Mania Challenge. So our next Mania Challenge will be focusing on the tag teams, which will be hosted by my counterpart, Hector V. On the women's side of the house, the Women's Evolution came out a few years ago. It's a big boom. We're seeing more females on the platform now than before. Who is your favorite at this time right now at either brand? Who is your favorite?
I think when you look from the WWE standpoint, I think a real standout is Io Shirai. I think that she has a way of she's just perfection in the ring. Everything she does is just on point a lot of the time. And I love the way that she's got those sort of facials. She's a way of telling you a story with saying very little. And I think for that, she really stands out. But if you look elsewhere, I mean, I'm a big fan of a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there that offers a lot. Tessa Blanchard from Impact, I think she has a lot to give and a bright future. I must admit, I do like Charlotte Flair. I know a lot of people think that she's forced down a lot of people's throats, but hey, you know, she has had to work hard, and as it was shown with NXT this past week, you know, she started in the PC. She is you know, a homegrown product. She is the daughter of a legend, but she's had to work hard to get where she's got. Yes, she's had a lot of title reigns and put down our throats, but I think a lot of us would turn around and say, yeah, she will. You expect her to become a 16-time women's champion at the end of the game, because that's what Ric Flair did. They want to tell that similar story. So she was always going to have multiple title reigns. It's just part of the you know, the evolution of what's going to happen with her character.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest debates we've had in our show about Charlotte Flair being in every brand. And then we always, I think our number one debate that we have is not allowing other women superstars to jump in. It's always Flair this, Flair that. And then you do see the NXT superstars move to the main roster only to be jobbers. And then they jump back to NXT to go back to their normal role. So it's just like a lot of confusion, a lot of small turbulence, but we're trying to get that feel. Hey, okay, what are you guys are doing right now? You know, you have Flair matching up with in Raw, but we don't see Shayna Baszler. We don't see main characters in Raw. You go to SmackDown. I thought that was a great tool for Flair to be there, so she could spark up the issues with Sasha Banks and Bayley. But then you turn around to come back to NXT. I was like, okay, listen, triple duties. Come on, there's got to be more to the woman's standpoint. What's the purpose of having an evolution if you're just going to keep seeing the same people over and over again?
I think it comes down to creative, and I think you're spot on with that. I mean, there's always the case of, I mean, with a lot of the stars from NXT, they work very well on that level for us hardcore wrestling fans. But I think when they come to, if you want that main roster, which I always hate using the term main roster, but it still is the case. But they have to be working with the casuals to a worldwide audience. And I think Charlotte Flair naturally has what we're looking for, because she's a Flair. She has that lineage, that history. Casual fans know the name Flair, so she instantly gets over. But when you've got these other people that are coming through, I mean, you can go through many different names. They don't match up when it comes to perhaps either in-ring or something character work just doesn't develop. And that probably comes down a lot to not just, it can come down to the superstar themselves, but it does come down a lot to the creative. It comes down to, you need to use Charlotte to bring people up to her level. And they did that with Becky Lynch. I mean, Becky Lynch was someone that was, you know, her first sort of turn was at that SummerSlam where she turned on Charlotte Flair. She had the rivalry where she actually went over Charlotte and won the Women's Championship on SmackDown. Yes, everything happened with Ronda Rousey, and that kind of a blessing in disguise kind of really blossomed and really made that star. I mean, Charlotte in the last sort of 12 to 18 months hasn't been the top female when you look at it on the scale of WWE, I think the issue is with it is that you look at it and say, because she's always in around the title picture, because they want to have that 16 titles for her, that you look and say, well, she's been shoved down. The NXT storyline is very interesting because that really has got on paper has a great idea to work. But the problem is that if Charlotte goes through the whole division, then it's going to really make the division look really weak. They need to make a mega star out of that division by someone defeating Charlotte Flair.
Right.
And the key is, can Io Shirai or Rhea Ripley be one of those to do that? Because if they do that, they've made the big star in NXT, and then they can make 2 or 3 more stars in NXT using, say it was Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's the one that gets her belt back. Then they can use Io Shirai. They can maybe use someone like Candice LeRae or maybe like Dakota Kai, and they can push them people up, and they become stars as well. And it's all about building that next generation. It almost comes across to me, and I don't know how you feel about this, but it almost feels that maybe with the current crop on the main roster, that they've given up on a number of them becoming that big star. I wonder how you feel about that.
I'm sorry, that last part came blurry. Can you say that last part again?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. I was just saying that I think that maybe there's a possibility that maybe WWE have given up on a lot of the superstars that have been called up of becoming the face of the brand, maybe big champion. And I think maybe they're looking to start again with maybe the evolution they've got in NXT, and think Charlotte Flair is a way to do that, not just competing for Wednesday night ratings. I wonder what your thoughts were on that.
I agree with you there. That was the other thought process there, is that maybe we need Charlotte Flair at NXT to help build up and compare them. I mean, look at Chelsea Green in her scenario when she fired her manager, and she already thinks that she is on top of the world and stuff like that because she was side by side with Charlotte Flair. So I think we're going to see more of that. And it should not just only be Charlotte Flair. I should expect other main roster females to jump back at NXT and do the same thing that Charlotte Flair is doing. So in that sense, and the way you explain it, it makes total sense of what's going on. And let's hope that is the real reason for Flair to be at NXT. But let's move on to actually NXT pay-per-view, which is In Your House. And again, this show is brought to you by Clovercrest Media. You want to start your podcast? Hey, tune into clovercrestmedia.com. We'll have more at the end of the show. But here's a clip on what's going to happen In Your House this Sunday, June 7th on the WWE Network.
The NXT Takeover In Your House matches for June 7th, 2020 are Tommaso Ciampa versus Karen Cross, Finn Balor versus Damon Priest, NXT Women's Championship Triple Threat match, Charlotte Flair against Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai, NXT Championship, Adam Cole versus the Velveteen Dream, and the NXT North American Championship, Keith Lee versus Johnny Gargano.
And this is the voice here of our voiceover, my son Jose. Say hello.
Hello.
All right. So, hey, we're getting ready for this Sunday NXT TakeOver In Your House, which was originated back in the days in 1995. And it's a good way to say, I mean, because we're all stuck at home pretty much. So without WWE traveling around the world giving us performance, they're going to definitely give us the performance here in our house, in our television. So let's start off with the 6-woman tag team match that was originally assigned NXT in the evening. We have Tegan Nox versus Shotzi Blackheart, Tegan Nox, Shotzi Blackheart, Mia Yim versus Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. What are your thoughts on this match?
It seems to be a last-minute throw together with the women being thrown in here for a 6-woman tag. You look at it and say that it's been building a little bit with Candice and Mia Yim. Tegan Nox has thrown away into the storyline with delivering the pizza. We've had as well a bit of a rivalry with Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai this year, and that's brought in Raquel as well. Shotzi Blackheart, she's sort of had a little bit with a tag team with Tegan Nox as well in recent weeks. So it's kind of been thrown together. But if you look over the weeks of build of what this is for a thrown together 6-woman tag, it's kind of been done well. The question here is, I think, is who's going to benefit mostly with the rub here, even if there's not so much on the line. If I was to give my prediction nice and early, I would think that this is going to suit the heels, because Candice, recently turned heel, is going to need that momentum. And as well as that, looking at Dakota Kai, I mean, she's been on a roll, really, and she needs to be pushed higher. But the only question mark with that is depends later in the night. I mean, if you've got a heel women's champion for NXT, then maybe it benefits the faces. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts is that Candice LeRae is pretty much, out of all 6 superstars, Candice LeRae is the top star of this match. And I think, yes, the focus is on her. But then again, that reflects on what's going to happen with Johnny Gargano. And the thing is that in recent news, there's going to be some big changes, a lot of call-ups from NXT to the main roster. Is Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano going to be one of them to move up? That is the question. But I see it maybe not anytime soon. And this is the reason why I believe that, just because it's Candice LeRae, I think that team is going to win this Sunday. As far as Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox, they got the momentum. They're going to be the future star of NXT, but I just don't think that this Sunday is going to be their night. Singles match that's hot and I'm excited for is Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. Priest wants to ensure his name lives forever, but somehow finds himself in the losing end. He lost to Tommaso Ciampa back at NXT Detroit. Lost a triple threat match with Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic for the NXT North American title. And again, he had a second chance for the title, but ended up losing to Keith Lee again. So him facing with Finn Balor, in my opinion, I think he's going to come out at the losing end again, because for one, Finn Balor was on he won 10 straight matches. And matter of fact, he was undefeated this year until he interfered with Priest interfering in the match with Cameron Grimes. So I expect Finn Balor to come out and put a squash on Priest.
Yeah, I think that's probably a likely outcome when you look at the two here, because like you say, Damian Priest, he's been on the losing end. Finn Balor, someone that's been on a roll. There hasn't really been an opportunity where Finn Balor has had the upper hand in this rivalry between the two. That Finn Balor is due his win and get his revenge here on Damian Priest, that attack a number of weeks ago. One thing I did wonder, which I wondered your thoughts on, something I sort of have a slightly bold prediction, because WWE like to predict this, but on takeovers, it was just something that became the norm. How would you feel about Finn Balor returning as the Demon?
Oh, I'm a big fan of him being the Demon. I mean, I wish he never got rid of that at all. I mean, I would assume that maybe every pay-per-view, the Demon will always come out. But yeah, if not, I would rather save the Demon to where he hits rock bottom for some reason, the same way that ended up with Bray Wyatt. I still think that somewhere in the near future, I want to see the Demon versus the Fiend. That right there, I would like to see him come back and being the Demon. But in this scenario, it does fit in a way. I mean, God, I really didn't think about it for this particular match, but if there's anybody, I think Priest could be the guy. I mean, look at his intro coming into the ring with the fire of the cross and everything else, and he's just throwing that arrow. So that's a good point, but I don't know. My gut still tell me he'll be the Prince. He'll come back and he'll come out victorious. Who do you choose in this match?
I think you've got to go with Balor. He's experienced. He's the guy that should be towards the top of the card. I think if you give Balor too many losses in NXT, he becomes just another guy, and he's supposed to feel special on Wednesday. So for me, I go with Finn Balor here.
Well, I don't know if you can see it in the screen, but Frank Quest, he's definitely a fan of the Demon. So Well, let's wait and see if that happens. But you're right. I mean, this is NXT Takeover in your house, and it's in the month of June. A lot of things could happen. NXT has a history of throwing curveballs and giving us big surprises, especially in the month of June. But let's move on to the next match we have is NXT North American Champion Keith Lee versus Johnny Gargano.
Wow. This is going to be a special match between these two. You can feel it immediately. It's arguably to the two best wrestlers in the brand. Right now they're both on hot streaks. I actually am on the fence of where I feel this one's going to go. I don't know how your feelings are with this match.
I think it's still in development stage. I think they still need more work if they're going to create this big feud between Lee and Gargano. And because I said that, I think Lee will still remain as a champion. But I think Keith Lee is on thin ice and holding on to that title. But being the fact it's too soon, I'll give it to Lee.
I think it's a fair shout. I mean, I can see both outcomes here, mainly because Gargano turning heel and wants his NXT. He can't be the champion right now, so I think it would be great for him to come away with the North American Championship. My feeling as well is that Keith Lee, in my opinion, this guy is the future. He's the guy that should be the face of the company, along with Drew McIntyre. I would have him where he's not just, the guy on NXT. I'd have him on SmackDown. He should be the guy taking on The Fiend, taking on Strowman. But it feels that's not going to happen just now unless there's something we're not aware of in the plans. I want to see Keith Lee moved up to the main event. So for that reason, I want to see Gargano win. But I'm with you. I kind of feel that Keith Lee, I mean, there's also that feeling from a casual standpoint and that sports entertainment side. I feel that there is almost that feeling that it's not believable that Johnny Gargano really should be beating someone of Keith Lee's stature.
No, I mean, you reminded me of a topic I had with my guys when it came to Andre the Giant versus Kofi Kingston. Realistically, I think Andre the Giant will beat him, but everyone's debating because of Kofi's resume. And out of all matches, all the dream matches we had, we debated on that one. So I could see something like that with Gargano and Keith Lee. But it's like I said, this is the window of all these call-ups, and whoever loses this match is, I believe, that has a greater chance in moving to a different brand. And Johnny Gargano, he's accomplished a lot already in NXT. What is there more to do at NXT? That's why I say maybe let's take Gargano, move him to SmackDown. I think that will benefit him there.
Absolutely. You imagine the matches like Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. I mean, that would be a perfect place for him right now. That mid card would be made for Johnny Gargano.
Yes. And maybe we could limit Baron Corbin in SmackDown. So we'll see. We're moving on to the most anticipated match out of all of the NXT right now, and it's Tommaso Ciampa versus Karrion Kross. So Kross had been stalking Ciampa from the very beginning, and during Ciampa's congratulatory speech for Johnny Gargano, he was then attacked from behind. We didn't see him for the past month. And then when he did make his presence, he went face-to-face with Kross and gave him an invitation for a match in the next pay-per-view. Nothing but respect. Even Ciampa has said it that he probably would have done the same thing to get his name on the board. But now we'll have this match, Kross and Ciampa, one-on-one. Ooh. I'm gonna throw it out there. I either or is my favorite. I love the introduction of Kross. It just gave me the chills, and I wish there was a crowd in the stadium, in the arena, to feel that energy, how he came out to be. But my take is either nobody wins or Karrion Kross gets his first victory.
I kind of feel with you, there's a way that this can be done where it protects both guys, but at the same time, I want to see Kross get the win. I mean, the guy looks like money. I've been a big fan of him, watching him in Lucha Underground, in Impact. So he's been in AAA as well. He's working in Mexico. The guy is a ready-made star. He is looking like he could be made for the big time, in my opinion. He's someone that in my opinion, could skip NXT. He's that good because his character work is believable. He's scary. He probably make the kids frightened, and he's going to have the adults, quite happy. They'll be quite happy that he's beaten on some of the baby faces that people don't want to be cheering. So Cross for me is special, but I don't want to see him as an unstoppable heel. That's the difference I want to see. I don't like seeing these heels that are always are untouchable, because the second they're touched, they become worthless. And I think that's a thing that we saw with the Fiend. As soon as he's able to be beaten, and all right, maybe the manner he was beaten, but people lose all instant believability in what's going on with that character. Cross needs to be a guy that can be hurt, but he needs to find a way that he always comes out on top and looks menacing when he does it. Maybe he just can take the punishment and he finds a way to come back. And for me here, I think that you make a star if Cross wins instantly. And NXT needs to make 1 or 2 new stars, because we're starting to rely on the same faces. For me, Cameron Cross is going to be the guy that's going to go over here. But I'm interested to see on how they're going to do it.
Well, my interest is, if there's anybody that could beat Keith Lee, will be Karrion Kross, because that'll be a perfect fit for him to seek a first title before he jumps onto an NXT championship. And again, no offense to Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, that guy is brilliant. He is the face of NXT. But I could go back to his documentary and his interviews that he stated that if he ever was to get called up to the main roster, he will retire from the WWE. But he's not a big fan of Raw, and he's not a big fan of SmackDown. And I can understand why, with all the travels and everything else, he has to sacrifice. And I wish Ciampa will move on. Hopefully he has a change of heart. But if not, then we're probably going to see a lot more of Ciampa and Kross later down the road after this match. Speaking of all these activities, we mentioned earlier Charlotte Flair doing a lot of activities in every brand. Luckily enough, everything's happening in one place, and that is the Performance Center. Because I don't think she could be able to do that constantly, traveling around the world to catch up with these brands. But she is in a match, in the triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship versus Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai. We already talked about this. I know who your favorite is. Are you going to still pick your favorite in this match?
Well, I mean, Io is probably my favorite, but as I say, I believe that I am a fan of Charlotte Flair as well. I am a fan of Rhea Ripley also. I mean, the whole women's evolution, there's so many different stars and characters that have been evolved here, and that's probably the freshest part about wrestling and watching in 2020 is what they do with the women's division. This is the 3 biggest women in NXT, in my opinion, right now that you can throw in a triple threat match. And I think that I feel the biggest story here is going to be Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. I think there's a rematch somewhere down the line with these two, and I think that's going to be the thing that's going to probably decide what's going to happen here. So I'm going to go for Charlotte Flair to retain, but I don't expect her to do the dirty work. I expect Rhea Ripley to maybe hit the riptide on Io Shirai after a long, maybe 20-minute classic between these 3 ladies. I expect the classic thrown out the ring, and Charlotte can just go and get the pinfall and sneak away with a title, and she gets through to another takeover, or perhaps even maybe, and the best place for Charlotte to lose that belt, maybe SummerSlam against Rhea Ripley in a rematch.
Oh man, great points. Great points, but man, I wanna agree with you. I really do, but I won't. I won't do it.
That's cool, man.
No, I mean, I think having Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam, but are we gonna do it again for the NXT title? I mean, I understand we had the NXT title at WrestleMania, but let NXT titles stay in NXT. I think we all know the NXT brand is out there.
Absolutely.
I think Io Shirai is the woman that's gonna surprise everybody, because you have Rhea Ripley coming back to try to be a 2-time champion. You have Charlotte that's overwhelmed on every storyline, everywhere she goes, and I think that's gonna catch up to her. And besides, on the triple threat match, including checking out my notes, Charlotte Flair has 5 wins and 9 losses in the triple threat match. And guess when she did her 5 wins? Her 5 wins came in the very first 5 triple threat matches, excuse me.
Wow.
So she's on a losing streak when it comes to situations like this. And the most notable one was WrestleMania 32, when she lost the SmackDown title to triple threat match to Becky Lynch. So this is why I picked Io Shirai. I think she's going to take it and win it, and maybe have her and Rhea Ripley just go back at it. We have a message from Frank again saying Flair needs to stay on one brand. Well, right now, if you look at the WWE.com /superstars, she is still with the Raw brand, even though she is the NXT champion. So wow, we got one difference there, Steve.
Yeah, we had to cross paths somewhere, didn't we?
Yeah, of course. But the main event of the NXT in your house is no other than the NXT Championship, Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream.
This is another one that's very hard to call. For me, this can go either way because you don't know who's going to the main roster. We don't know if there's going to be a point where Adam Cole, now he's cleared his 1 year as champion, if he continues that reign or if it's time to pass it over. There's been speculation with Adam Cole's contract as well. So there's lots of stuff that's to speculate about. Listen, I believe it's also got a special gimmick match now as well. Isn't it a backlot brawl now? This is going to be taking place in like a parking lot. I think I've read somewhere online. So they're going to give this the cinematic feel, I believe, of some form of description. To give a prediction for you, and it's really hard with this one because I'm going to be honest with you, I feel this could go either way, and I'd kind of be happy whatever happens here as a result. But Dexter Lumis was involved on a promo this past week on NXT, and he said he was going to take away the other members of the Undisputed Era. I think he will accomplish that. But I also think that he's going to accomplish that because Dumas, for me, Dexter Lumis is a natural heel. He is not a babyface, and he's playing currently a babyface. So I think that we could get the creepiest storyline in NXT history coming out of this. I think he's going to double cross the Dream, and we're going to have the Dream versus Lumis for the rest of the summer. I think Cole retains.
Oh wow, great point there.
That's my pick for it right now. Anyway,
you say Karrion Kross was the scariest. To me, I think he is the scariest because you don't know. What's he gonna do? I mean, he's very quiet. He doesn't say much. I mean, he was drawing the board during the interview.
Yeah, you say it in his
NXT.
eyes.
And I'm like, okay, so where? First of all, I just didn't know how he just came out the bout just to help Velveteen Dream. I mean, this guy's starting out NXT, and all of a sudden, boom, there he is helping Dream out and just going against the Undisputed Era. Yes, it could backfire. Too much helping can backfire, and that could cause Dream a match. But being that what happened in NXT with the Undisputed Era not being able to be the number one contender for the tag team titles, I think he will win. Honestly, I think so. I'll pick Velveteen Dream on this one. I think Adam Cole, not only will he lose, but he'll grab all the Undisputed Era, and they're going to go to Monday Night Raw. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it sounds exciting, man. I would be a big fan of it. I mean, the thing is, the Dream is someone that a lot of people are behind, and his time is coming. And it gets to a point where you think if you don't pull the trigger, you start to wonder if and when his time will actually come because the momentum is with Dream now. So, maybe it's you strike the iron when it's hot. I think maybe it's time for that change. I will go for Cole. I will stick with the prediction because I've said it. But as I say, this can go either way, and I would be happy with either result.
One more thing before we end the show. We had the Undisputed Era, all gold. And little by little, they were losing it. So for the past 6 months, they've lost titles, the North American Championship, the Tag Team Championship, and we got one more title. This got to be it. And you mentioned it, his contract's expiring soon. He's definitely going to get a big contract. He is the face along with Ciampa, but he's going to do good and good things for either Raw or SmackDown. My prediction is the Undisputed Era move to Raw and battle with the Messiah. That's just me. And I love it. I would love it too. But hey, Steve, please stand by. Thank you so much for being on the show. Don't leave yet, please.
I'll stick around, no problem. Thank you.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the Hard Hitting Wrestling Show. Again, that is Steve. Please subscribe to his channel on YouTube. Follow him on Twitter. That's at SCW. underscore Steve. And also, again, the SCW Wrestling channel. You can also tune in and get all the information on hhwshow.com. On behalf of Clovercrest Media, I'm Over Muniz. Check out the closing, and I'll see you tonight with the rest of the HHW crew.
Be sure to visit hhwshow.com, where you can find all the Clovercrest Media sports shows, including the Hard Hittin Wrestling Show, All Four Downs, and Keys to the City. If you ever want to do a podcast, this is the place to do it. Starting at just $15 a month, you can get unlimited hosting and $50 for full service. Visit clovercrestmedia.com for more information.
A big thank you to the StreamYard for their fine streaming service. For Tyler Bard, Frank Cuesta, and Hector Vasquez, I am Ovi Muniz. Thank you for listening to the Hard Hittin Wrestling Show.